Vanakkam. This is Hyder Ali Sayyed from Asivagam, United Under Tamil Shiva.
Every pastor is black. I am a black Muslim. They are essentially saying nigger with the ER at the end.
He's literally throwing black race card in the room. He's calling right now. He called all of us.
And then as I got a little bit older, I said, you know what? Maybe they're having a bad day. I tried to find any excuse. And then I finally told myself, well, the Prophet said, reward the blessings we get for doing that. So if they don't want the blessings, that's on them. But I'm going to take the blessings every time I can. Regardless, I'm going to keep giving people the salams. Okay? So the last thing I want to say, brother, is that I think that our non-African American brothers and sisters, and let me just say one thing. I probably haven't traveled as much as you, brother Hanif, but being in the military, I have had the opportunity to travel a little bit. I've been to Saudi Arabia, I've been to Kuwait, I made Hajj. Actually, I used to live in the East Coast, never went to Philadelphia, but Newark, New Jersey, New York, very strong African American communities, Muslim communities up there. So, I noticed a big difference, and it's no disrespect to anybody. I'm in Texas now. There's a big difference in kind of the vibe, the feel, versus when I was upstate New York and New Jersey. But anyway, alhamdulillah, we're all Muslim. But I guess my question, brother Hanif, is kind of like what brother Sal said. For me, how can we fix this? How can we rectify this? Because it just hurts, brother. And I think that for outsiders, non-Muslims looking in, they're eating their popcorn and just having a good time. Look at these Muslims fussing and fighting amongst each other. They have no unity. I don't know, brother. I'm sorry if I talk too much, but I'm just hurting right now. I really am.
Aziz, first of all, I want to thank you for serving. Number one, my father became a Muslim when he was in the Air Force. And he met my mother in the Air Force. So I'm a half military family. So I want to thank you. What you said touches my heart. And it's a reality that we all have to deal with. And this is exactly what we're doing. We want to come to the end of it. But a peace treaty or unity cannot take place if one side is not going to one side is not going to embrace humility. And this is typically what bullies do. They typically don't. They're not going to be humble. They're not going to see they're wrong in it. They're not going to be. And these are all these are not traits of Muslims. As I said it before, and I mean this with sincerity. There's nobody that makes more mistakes on this app than me because I'm speaking the most. So I'm going to have what they call in Arabic, zalat al-lisan. I'm going to have a slip of the tongue more than anybody. But it's never been a moment where someone has corrected me and I've said, you know what, I'm standing on all 10, and how I'm viewing it is how I'm viewing it. It's not like that. When I become hyper-aggressive how I am, it's because of the people that's affected by this. There's an entire study at George Washington University. It's called The Psychology of the Salafi Movement. I'm actually reading that, even though I've lived through it for 30 years. Because somebody took a different psychological approach to it. There's a more contemporary book by Omar Ali called The Rise and Fall of the Salafi Movement. So as far as the unity is not haphazard. We cannot have peace until there's unity. And what happens on this app all the time, is we'll be given a room and the people will be doing a Q&A, and we could just, how I'm talking right now, everything's chilling. We're just doing a Q&A. And on the Q&A, typically I bring everybody up. And somebody will unmic themselves and saying that you are misguiding the people in front of a room of 200 people. And because the space in which I hold, that I can't let that can't be the period at the end of the sentence. So an individual that calls themselves a Muslim coming up, that whole group has to be corrected in what they are upon, what they're actually hearing. And as you mentioned it earlier, because you come from principle base, you know what type of culture we come from. Certain things we can't even do. It'll be a matter of our life and our death. An individual don't even know who they're even speaking to. And so what Hanif J. Williams represents, it's not me. I don't represent my family on here. We don't have the Williams, all 20 of my brothers and sisters in here defending me. We have what Muslim but human represents. And the fact that we have a hijabi in here, an niqabi in here, a scholar in here, someone who is a lawyer, somebody who just works a regular 9 to 5, that's what the ummah looks like. And so what happens is that's being disrupted. And we say again, we are not the transgressors. We are not the transgressors. We are responding. And you know what type of culture we come from, Abdul Aziz. You know when the black man you know what happens when we start roaring. We cut from that Harriet Tubman Malcolm X cloth. The ground starts shaking, and it's just like, why is he going off like this? Like, wait a minute, I was silent for 5 days. I didn't say anything. And we are offering our olive branch to you. But we're doing it in this room saying that because you are bullies, we're not going to let you set the tone in this. And so we did 2 rooms where we said we would do this. We want them to announce themselves. We want them to let them know where they're from for identification and accountability purposes. Not because we think an individual is going to be a greater man, because you have somebody that has their picture and they are a coward. It's not about that. But it's about this, it's about that culture of this is what, let's take for Sheikh Ahmed, for instance, who's right below, but beneath you. I know what he looks like, but everybody in this app does not know what he looks like. So we don't mind of him being anonymous, because everybody knows who he is. Sheikh Abbas, nobody even has heard Sheikh Abbas even say a sentence outside the Quran. We know who so it's not about just the individual being anonymous. It's about being anonymous and being able to operate within the using that as a protection, as like I can say anything. And you see their group, not all of them being anonymous. You see all of them being the sheikh that they call on. Everybody is anonymous, and so now you say, okay, all right, this is a thing where people got fake profile pictures. Like, yo, we want you to stand on what men stand on. What, and you know this from the communities we come from, Abdul Aziz. We're gonna stand on what we stand on, and if we are corrected, we're going to be corrected. And this hurts me too. That's why I said at the end of this, let's be brothers. And if you notice that a lot of them left the room, and the reason why they left the room is because they was not able to still insert their mentality and dawah inside of it. They wasn't able to do that because bullies are also sissies. It's the they done a psychology study. What happens, and you know this from us playing kickball and football, you know, in our neighborhoods. What happens if the person who owns the football loses? What does he do? I'm taking my football and I'm going home. There's an entire psychology study done on this. So it's like, I can't have it my way, so I'm going to ruin the whole game. You never wanted to play by the rules. And you're not always going to win. And so this is why you see them leave. And so that's what I wanted to mention. So Abdul Aziz, I would love to speak to you. If you have Instagram, shoot me a back channel. We're doing a room on later this year on Muslims who are served in the military. I would love for you to be a part of that and tell us your journey in that. So we're doing that room, I believe, after Ramadan, inshallah.
Thank you for letting me come up on stage, and subhanAllah, I just want to just hope that we can, figure this thing out, brother. It's very difficult to to see this. I love to go to rooms where I can receive some knowledge. I can learn something from the brothers, from the sisters, whomever has something to contribute. I try to be a positive person. I'm not foolish. I know that sometimes we're going to have disagreements and things like that, but I just think that, we should be careful. This is general. I'm not saying anyone specific, that we should be careful about, what we say. I try, and I know all of us do this. We ask Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to forgive us for, slips of the tongue, and if I'm correct, Brother Hanif, I think I remember reading the hadith that, a lot of people are going to hellfire because of their tongues, what they say. So we should be very careful about what we say, This saying sometimes, if you don't have anything good to say, just be silent, That it's funny what you said. I guess that's the military in me. When I heard all this, I kind of seen some of your rooms, but, I only went into a few. But I said, you know what, let me just... I think you said sister said it, but I actually did. I said, let me just Google it, let's see what comes up. I saw nonprofit. I saw works in the community, and not to say the Muslim, not saying the Muslim community, but the African American Muslim community. We have some unique problems, and I think that looking at that, it's also ironic that you said something about the Christmas lecture. Because I actually listened to like the first, I think, 30 minutes, and I had to leave. I had something to do with my family. But I was amazed. It's funny that you said that the first 20 seconds that Christmas is haram. I heard that, and I'm like, okay, I don't get it. Like, what's the issue? So I promise you, brother, I will go back and listen to the whole thing, because I think I'm gonna listen to about maybe 30 minutes. But I honestly don't know what's the contention, because that was the first name that you said. So I don't quite understand that. But to be fair, I'll go back and listen to the entire thing. But again, brother, thank you for letting me come up. I'll try to do that in the back channel for you. And I feel a little bit better now. But I just hope that we can find a way to be unified. We're stronger together. Assalamu alaikum.
Before we get to Ibn Idris, one other thing. Again, I put on the post of the room on Instagram. I put unity up there, and as you mentioned, Abdul Aziz, most of the 99% of the people, and you can even go to my Instagram, and I said it for the third time. My daughter, I did an 8-second video about Christmas as well too. So an individual has to start looking at other issues that an individual has with an individual, that a group of people has with an individual, myself. He said, it can't be the Christmas room, but they said they had contentions about Christmas. So it's just like, what is this really about? We are calling to unity, and we are extending ourselves to you. You are making rooms calling people mushriks. We're clearly not even on the same path. But anyway, Ibn Idris, salam alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Actually, the only reason why I wanted to come up is Sheikh Salman has been really a profound positive impact on this app. This thing that Brother Abdul Aziz described, the going back and forth, the non-beneficial rooms, the rooms that really serve no purpose but talking. These rooms, they really went down in quantity after Sheikh Salman entered, because Sheikh Salman used to, or is teaching people classical books, and explaining them, and tafsir, of surahs and juz' amma and things like that, things that, everybody can benefit from, because even the most accomplished, they overlook these little benefits that are in the things that they consider to be ground knowledge, I want to say. And I think it is important to point out, because I do feel that Sheikh Samir, for whatever reason, was misrepresented in these past days. Sheikh Samir went into that room and advised against the room. So I think there are people who have a personal issue on both sides, and I think that's entirely justified because I think wrongs were done. But I think it's very important that we differentiate between the individuals and the groups, and it's very important that we mention that Sheikh Samir indeed went into there to advise against this. And if anybody does not have a personal issue against you, Hanif, it's Sheikh Samir. And if anybody has pointed out that people should leave the personal issues with you aside, then it is Sheikh Samir. And that's my 2 cents, and that's all I want to say.
That's fine. Sheikh Samir is not, he's collateral damage, and I'm able to stay focused with that. I only mention that because they were calling upon him. And he was in the room. I don't know what was in the room. I'll never go in those rooms. If he was advising against the room, then we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive us. And I never even said anything about him, but if I did, ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive me. And but at the same time, the room was made. I don't care if the room was made. I care about the Muslims. This is not my first rodeo. This is nothing to me. This is nothing. When I say this is nothing, the amount of time that I'm spending on it, it's not a waste of time. It's important to the ummah because it's the ummah who sees those things. And I don't walk around the hallway. I give my rooms, I close the app, and sometimes I delete the app. There's 98 back channels that I have right now. I close the app. It's the people in here that is benefiting, like Abdul Aziz and all of these different people who are here supporting and allowing this app. It looks like we're probably going to be at 30,000, members in Muslim but Human probably in a month or so, because we're scaling with the permission of Allah. But these individuals, I have to have energy for them because of all of the fitna that they have caused, not just with me. But what happens is that they ran into the right one or the wrong one, depending on how you want to define it. And so with me, there's nothing they can do with me because I'm a novelty. And so the fact that I represent the black community. I'm a very unapologetic black man. When I'm in Los Angeles, I am in Crenshaw, I am in, Compton, I'm in Watts. That's where I'm at. And I'm very well known there. I'm not somebody that's not. No, I'm there. When Nipsey passed away, I was there at his moments after he passed away because me and him was going to do a project together. So this is not somebody who you're just speaking to. There's a lot of different intersectionalities. I represent the Muslim who has been victims of this. You're going to hell. Allah's never going to forgive you if you don't wear a hijab. Some of the people who don't wear a hijab, they don't even feel comfortable with even getting advice from some people because they're looked down upon. This is what Muslim but Human represents. And so whenever the representative of what represents them is talked about, of course they're going to get emotional. Of course they're going to say, why are they saying these things about you? And it is something personal. But actually it's something personal that they've concocted in their mind, Ibn Idris, because none of them actually know me. None of them actually had a conversation. Say, yo, why didn't you reach out to Brother Hanif? I don't think that he's somebody who will ignore you. It may be very difficult to get in contact with him, but I'll accept your invitation. Except for the individual coming into the room and saying that we ordering you to come to the room. Say, hold on, wait a minute. The person who orders me around is in his grave.
And people call him Sheikh, they call him Ustad, all these things. And some people, they haven't seen anyone better than him, or they haven't gotten the opportunity to listen to someone other than Nu'man Ali Khan. And so they think he's like, the Allama, the scholar, the Imam. The problem is, some people are, in the very beginning of their journey in knowledge, right? So they still don't know, other than that. They don't know better than that, But some people are arrogant, or they choose to believe such person, in reality, they're, how should I say this, Hanifites, they're only following that person. They're only following that person instead of following Salaf, right? Imam Hanif said this and that. No, it's about what the Salaf said, how the Salaf interpreted, Subhanallah. And the creed of the Salaf has been the same. The creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Athari position, has been the same from day one, from the Prophet ﷺ till this very day. It's been exactly the same, right? everything else that changes, changes. You know, and has obviously been later formed, later innovated. So
he's literally throwing black race card in the room. He's calling people. He's calling right now. He called all of us from Triple K. You know, and
SubhanAllah. Actually, in the beginning, I thought it was from a nation of Islam, so I didn't know. So, may Allah guide him and guide us. SubhanAllah.
I mean, this is stupidity, bro. Like, he's literally using black card at this point in his room, bro. Like, we have a group chat, me, Waldawa, Anas, you know, all of the team of Yusuf. So, I am literally going through the chat as well. They are in their room just commenting on what's going on.
SubhanAllah, okay. I remember I think it was a joke. The joke was like there was a debate between a Sunni scholar and a Shi'i scholar, right? And so the Shi'i scholar was on stage. The Shi'i scholar was on stage, and the Sunni scholar came on stage holding his slippers between his armpit. And so the Shi'i scholar was like, why are you doing this? This is so weird and disgraceful. Like, why do you have your slippers under your armpit? And the Sunni scholar said, because the Shia used to steal the slippers of people, of the companions during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Shia said, this is a lie. There was no Shia at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So the Sunni scholar said, indeed, there were no Shia at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. You just proven that you are wrong. And he took he took the slippers and left.
Yes, sweet and short.
Satyugam prolonging due to four-beastly regime disguised as Muslim world. Satyugam possible only through straight path of first Siddha Tamil Shiva. Nandri Vanakkam.